I don't know, I don't have an intro. I could make something up now, or I could not, or we could just start this in a way that makes sense for me. So it's fall, so we're making tiny pumpkins. I have two versions of this pattern. There's one for single bed and there's one for double bed. So if you've got an LK150, you're in good shape. Let's get started. Starting with the double bed version of this pattern, cast on 32 stitches onto waste yarn. Then knit one row of your main color, swap out the sinker plates, bring the bottom bed up, starting with the 4th stitch, transfer every 5th stitch to the bottom bed. Each rib is 4 stitches wide with a 5th stitch knit on the bottom bed, and we add an extra stitch on the outside for a seam in the middle of a rib. Then we're going to set the bottom bed to tuck in both directions. Knit 3 rows, reset the carriage to knit normally, and knit 1 more row. Repeat this until your pumpkin is as big as you want it to be. I knit about 30 rows. This is a great project for scraps and leftovers because it doesn't take much yarn. When you get to the end, transfer all of your stitches back to the main bed to make casting off easier. Swap back to the main sinker plate and knit 1 last row. Then we're going to gather up our stitches with a double-eyed tool like you would for a hat. Thread your yarn tail onto the end and then pull each stitch off of the machine onto the tail. Here's what our pumpkin looks like fresh off the machine. Pull the tail tight to gather up the stitches and then secure them with a stitch in the opposite side. Then mattress stitch up the side seam. Now take your weird tube and stuff it. You can use polyfill for this, but I had a bunch of yarn scraps handy, so I'm recycling them. Don't stuff it too full because we're going to flatten this down. Squish your filling so it's evenly distributed. Now gather up all the live stitches from the waste yarn onto your yarn tail. Pull off the waste yarn and stuff it into your pumpkin. Then pull the stitches tight. Knot your tail with the starting tail to secure it. And then, like with the crown of a hat, pick up a few stitches along the gathering to tighten it up. Pass the needle through the center of the pumpkin and do the same thing on the other side. Use the tension to pull the pumpkin flat. Check for your desired flatness and then secure the end. The single bed version of this pattern also uses tuck stitches. Put your carriage into hold, and then starting with the 4th needle, bring every 5th needle out into hold. Just like the double bed version, each rib is 4 stitches wide with 1 forming the indentation, and then we have an extra stitch on each end so we can create a seam in the middle of a rib. Knit 3 rows and then push your needles part of the way back in and knit 1 row. Repeat until your pumpkin is the desired height. You could probably do this with a punch card or with AYAB, but this is easy and it works on all machines. Gather up the stitches on the tail. And here's your finished product. Assembly is exactly the same. You can use these pumpkins to try out new techniques. This is my first attempt at cables. They always seemed so scary, but they really aren't. Grab two two-pronged tools and just swap the stitches. For the stems, we're going to make I-cord. E-wrap cast on 3 stitches. Set the carriage to only knit in one direction. Shove a weight in there, and then knit until your stem is the desired length. Gather up your stitches on the tail. And here's your stem. Thread the tail through the body of the stem, and then stab it through the center of the pumpkin. Bring the thread back up and secure it to the starting point. Secure it through a few more stitches and you're good to go. At this point, weave in all of the ends and your pumpkin is finished. All right, I'm gonna steam these so that they'll soften up a little bit, and then it'll be time to take some pictures and put together a thumbnail and then edit all of this. Here they are, my tiny pumpkins. And some of them I made on my bulky and they are slightly larger. As you can see, possibilities are really endless here. You can make these with more sections or fewer. You can make them taller and shorter. And pumpkins don't have to be pumpkin colored. They can be whatever color you want them to be, like sparkly, fuzzy mohair. I hope you found this tutorial useful. If you have any questions or requests, let me know in the comments, and like and subscribe for more machining tutorials. Happy fall!